Good morning. It is a Monday, October the 9th. Good to have you with us on Up to the Minute. I'm Todd Duplantis, and we're live at the HCCTV studios this morning. It's Mental Health Monday. We've got a special guest coming your way, but my guest host every Monday, Dr. Nicholas Cox, the dean of the chair, I should say, of our history department. Good to see you with us this morning, Nick.
Thank you. I just got a promotion there that I didn't know about.
Don't
tell my boss.
Congrats. Yeah, you're the last to know, I guess. But not only the chair, but the dean as well. So
how was your weekend? Did you enjoy this weather?
It was, the weather was just phenomenal all weekend long. It was really nice. And they say next weekend is going to be just as nice, if not better. So, anything below 95 degrees, I'm happy with in Houston. After this past summer, it was so brutal, but now it's nice to get finally maybe some fall weather.
Absolutely. I spent almost the entire Saturday down at Challenger Stadium with a marching band event for my son. And, those are long Saturdays where you spend almost the entire day in the parking lot or the football field. And
right,
it's the first nice Saturday in 3 months.
I'm telling you, it was phenomenal this weekend. Great weather coming up this week. But we'll talk more about that as the week progresses. But Nick, we want to thank everybody joining us on Facebook Live and YouTube. We're here Mondays through Fridays, just about every weekday when HCC is in session, live at 10 a.m. If you don't catch the show live, not a problem, Nick, because they can also check us out on our cable channel and in all social media.
That's right, Todd. We are live on the Houston Community College District Facebook page and also on YouTube. We're on X, formerly known as Twitter, LinkedIn, and HCCTV at noon, 5, and 10 p.m. Monday through Friday.
All right, Nick, we've got a special guest joining us. First up this morning, it's Mental Health Monday, and we're learning about a group that uses the power of conversation and community to improve mental health care. Joining me is Shawn Lesser. He's the founder of the Real Mental Health Network, and he's our Mental Health Monday guest. Welcome to the show, Shawn. Good to see you again.
Thanks, Todd. Thanks, Nick. Great to be here. Nick, you look like a marching band guy. I can just tell from the look in your eye. So,
marching band's very serious stuff.
Yes, I understand.
Yeah, my son plays, and I'm just on the dad squad loading and unloading trucks. That's my contribution.
You're like the roadie.
Purpose. That's right.
You're the roadie.
Manual labor. Well,
Shawn, I wanted to talk to you. You and I have met before, but I wanted to talk more about your mission of the Real. We're going to get to that, but it sounds like the Real was started because of a condition you were suffering from. Earlier this year, you had been to 2 treatment centers for anxiety and depression, right?
Correct. Yes, I was.
Tell us a bit about your story and how that came about.
Sure. So let me give you, there's kind of 2 stories. There's what's on my resume and then what happened. So let's look back on who am I on my resume. You can also find this on LinkedIn. So I was born in Brooklyn, grew up in Long Island, went to Syracuse University. Then I did 15 years. I did international institutional equity sales. I used to sell stocks to banks overseas. And then in 2007, with a partner, I started the first impact investment bank. And I did that for 16 years. So that's my resume. Then the question is, what happened? What's the Real? So it all started last September. I was depressed. I was having trouble eating. I was having trouble sleeping. I lost 40 pounds, which is wonderful, but I was not on a diet. And then it was December 14th. It was a Wednesday, and I was on a Zoom call and basically had what I call a full mental breakdown where I couldn't really speak. I was in a really bad place, dark place, telling my wife, I don't really want to be here anymore. Now, most wives don't want to hear this. And then the next question is like, what do you do with someone who's like that? So we went to the emergency ward in Atlanta. They brought out someone on a Zoom machine and they said, do you want to go to the psych ward? I had no idea what that meant, but I wanted to go somewhere. So I ended up going to the psych ward in Atlanta. I was there for 3 days. Then I got out. I'm 54, married, 2 kids. I got out. My mom came down from Long Island, and my wife were there, and they were basically on Shawn watch. I'll keep on going with the story, Todd, but is there any questions you have before I continue?
One thing when we talked before, which I found very interesting, is what you had told me you noticed is there weren't available resources or educational resources for you. And so you kind of got your company rolling because you wanted to make those resources available for others, because you kind of had you and your family kind of had to learn on the fly, how do I treat this mental breakdown or this anxiety or depression?
Right. So just continuing on with that thread and with the story. So I ended up at the psych ward. Then you don't know what to do. Where do you go? You Google this stuff and people don't want to talk about it. Then I ended up going to 2 treatment centers, one in Weimar, California, and another one in Hollywood, Florida, where you're basically in treatment all day. But it's really hard to navigate this whole mental health world because it's a topic that's basically affecting most people in some way or another. I was at a 10. Most people at some time in their life are at a 2, at a 4, or a 6. And what do you do? How do you handle it? Who do you speak to? There's a lot of stigma within the whole mental health space, especially around men.
And before pivoting to mental health advocacy, you'd already made a significant impact in the financial world, as you said. Tell us how that plays a role in how you launched The Real.
Yeah, so with my old day job, I had launched a couple of different things. I had launched an investment bank. Previous to that, I had launched some other companies, and it's kind of the same mindset. How do you take something brand new and roll it out? From this perspective, from The Real, this was more about taking the pain that I had and still have some, and how do you make that for something good? So that was the same kind of entrepreneurial mindset, that how do you take something that's a negative and make it into a positive?
One of the ways you do that is you have discussions with men, because it sounds like, it's not many. You want to be a macho guy, I mean, we want to be men, but it's hard for men, I guess, to step out and say, you know what, I may need some help. So you're trying to break those barriers by, from what I understand, starting men's groups that can discuss the real issues, hence the name The Real.
Sure. So let's talk about that for a second. So yeah, men are different than women, obviously, right? Men, when we meet shoulder to shoulder. Women meet face to face. Both have lots of pressures, but men just feel it a little bit differently. And men have a big stigma that they can't really talk about this. So with The Real, one of the pillars of what we're doing is building a safe place, a community where guys can have some talks and talk about these things. We don't have to get all crunchy and all that, but everyone is going through some stuff. Every single person. It just gives you a safe place where you're like, okay, I can talk about this. I don't think I'll be judged, and I'll be comfortable.
Is it harder when you're at a CEO level to want to reach out and ask for help? You're considered a powerful individual, but you're kind of reaching out, bringing in these high-level executives along with anyone else who wants to join these groups, correct?
Yeah, no doubt it's hard, because exactly what you're saying, there's the stigma. I don't want to look weak. I'm having these people follow with what I'm saying. But in the end, it's a little bit of a reverse, because what I found is when you're vulnerable, it brings you more power, which is kind of strange to say, but I've actually seen that in work. Vulnerability is power.
And you've been able to bring in some names into this group. I know you have a strong lineup of members such as Ray Leonard Jr. and Paul Greenberg of the Weather Channel, just to name a couple. You must be making an impact with getting individuals like these in this group.
Sure. I think I've had over 200 conversations around what we're doing and telling my story. And I find that to the person, this is usually not 1 degree away. It's 0 degrees or half a degree away. So essence, I think that's something that almost everyone can use. And I think when people see me or I speak, they might look at me as a peer of theirs. So like, all right, Shawn's talking about this stuff. Why not? I can feel comfortable talking about it too. That especially happened. We had our first talk in Chicago. We had about 15 guys in the group. We were telling the story. And then about 15 minutes in, the hands went up. And a lot of high pressure guys, but they were all opening up, telling their stories about their families, their friends, etc. So it's almost like you jump in the water, it gives people the room to also go into the water.
What are these? I know you met in person. Do you envision in the future having these discussions online throughout, maybe a Zoom room? What's your vision for the future, and how do you see this moving forward?
Sure. So on the community, we're rolling out an app. Now, within the community, we're going to do a couple of different things. So it's in beta stage right now. So the first thing is to give a safe place where guys can talk. Secondly, is that we're having different meetups, events. This is going to sound crazy, but we're doing the first real walk in Atlanta on Thursday. What is it? It's not complicated. Meeting guys on Thursday morning, and we're going for a walk, right? Third is give people a space where people are curious about what's going on in mindfulness, yoga, meditation, other types of therapy. Give them a central location where they can get that. And then finally, what I find was very helpful for me, I had a mental health sponsor. So you think of Alcoholics Anonymous, you have a sponsor, someone help you through the path, is to have the ability for people to be mental health sponsors or to be sponsored by a sponsor within mental health to help guys kind of go through that channel that sometimes we get into.
As you move forward with this, do you, we mentioned meeting in person, do you see more online events as well?
No, for sure. So I have my own show every Wednesday, but also it's going to be online, and basically the presence is growing. And then we're doing events across the country and across the world. We're going to be in Houston in I think 2.5 weeks, speaking with EO, for example. But this is a topic that's on people's minds. So yeah, either in person or online, it's definitely growing.
I mean, you kind of hit the nail on the head, and I was going to ask you that question. When we were in lockdown with the pandemic, there was, especially during that time, and maybe the violence that would happen afterwards, but there was a focus on where this country is with mental health. Particularly, are we able to provide the right people to answer to emergencies when you have a mental health episode? Do you look at that differently now than, say, in March of 2020?
For sure. I really didn't understand or even was thinking about that area. So now I'm seeing it, basically in my face all day, right? So I think a big part of that, and where we're trying to help, is we're not therapists, not saying we're therapists, but a big part of what helped me, and I think other people, is also just community, people meeting other people, talking to other people. And we didn't have that, obviously, a lot during the pandemic, because I think people need other people. It's great to have therapy, it's great to have medicine, but a huge part, and where we think we can help, is really around having that community, knowing your neighbor, knowing the guy down the street. People talk about like it's silly, but it makes a big difference.
We're talking with Shawn Lesser. He's founder of the Real Mental Health Network. We'll have the information on the Real and how you can find them in our social media post after the show. One thing I found interesting when you and I first talked, I went to your website. You had a video on there, and it actually showed when you were having this mental episode. And if people don't understand, this is something that happened to you in the last year. It was recorded, because everything we do now online is recorded. But you featured that, though, which I thought was pretty brave to feature that in the promo that you have for the Real.
Yeah, so a little bit about that. When I watch that, the first thing I say is, wow, that guy is incredibly handsome. But once I get over that talk, I look at that, I'm like, when I watch it now, it's almost surreal. Like, that's not me, right? It was like a whole different person. I think that also just happens in mental health. It's almost like, you break your arm, okay, you go to the hospital, you come out, people sign your cast, right? And then you get better. Mental health, you have a problem with your brain. Basically, you break your brain, I'm just simplifying it, and then you have to hide in the corner and not tell anyone. No, because these things pass, and it's kind of just another part of your body that's not working well, in simple terms.
Shawn Lesser, founder of the Real Mental Health Network. As I mentioned, we'll have all your information in our social media post after the show. We appreciate you being here this morning as our Mental Health Monday guest, and we're looking forward to seeing you when you get in town.
Thank you all. Appreciate it.
Thanks, Shawn.
Bye-bye.
All right, Nick, certainly an important discussion, at where we are in this country right now. Mental health needs to be discussed more.
I agree, Todd. I do. It's great that every Monday we have a guest that can bring a new insight into the topic for our audience.
Well, we've got a couple of announcements we want to get to before we wrap things up for today. One of them, I don't know if were you out at Convocation on Friday?
I did. I saw you there emceeing the event, and I saw a few of the other HCC TV folks wandering around the building there. I saw Melanie and Nathan.
Yeah, it was certainly a great event. Even those of us working at Convocation were swept up in the enthusiasm. Dr. Margaret Ford Fisher pumped up the crowd at Friday's Convocation. HCC TV is included in the communications department team that works behind the scenes to make this event run smoothly. A lot of people involved, and we want to thank them all for doing such a great job. But the chancellor really gets all the credit. She really had a great message, and if you didn't get a chance to see it, it is on our YouTube channel, so you can check out our convocation, which happened on Friday. We'll have a link to that in our social media post after the show. Also, there's a documentary screening that's happening today as well, Nick.
That's right, Todd. Some of our audience might remember last week we talked to Cheryl Ballard in the history department, and she's taken the lead on some programming for Indigenous Day and for Native American history throughout the month of October and November. For those of you out there, you may realize that for many people, today is Columbus Day, and for many people, it is Indigenous Peoples Day. So you can see this documentary, Reclaiming Turtle Island, today at the Eastside campus from 11 a.m. to 1 p.m. It'll be in the Student Media Room 137, and we'll have more information in the post after the show.
You know what I found interesting in that interview last week? Turtle Island, it was Native Americans' term, from what I understand, for what we now call America or North America, right?
That's right. It became a sort of a common term for the continent once Europeans and others came to North America. But so reclaiming Turtle Island really is about Indigenous rights on the entire continent, not just a specific island that you might think of, like Galveston Island.
Once again, check it out, Eastside Campus, and it is playing today from 11 a.m. to 1 p.m. Okay, subs and sandwiches, they're back. Yeah, HCC and MBDA are continuing their popular Subs and Sandwiches series, and this time it's hosted by Turner Construction. It's 11:30 a.m. to 12:30 p.m. Wednesday, October 18th. It is a WebEx event, so you can check it out online. All you have to do is register, and we'll have some information in our post after the show and how you can do that. Inventathon is happening, Nick. That's coming up, and it's actually a partnership with NASA this year.
Yeah, that's right. NASA and HCC are gearing up for this month's Inventathon. It's an experience where you can explore space technology in relationship to thinking about Earth's sustainability, climate change, ecology. Students can form teams. They can participate as solo contestants. You can check our post after the show for more information, but it looks like this is an all-day event from 9 a.m. to 5 p.m. on Saturday, October 29th, and people can participate virtually or at our West Loop campus.
And we'll have all the information in our post after the show for that one. Recipes for Success. These are for students. Several virtual workshops are coming up to assist students in improving skills or studying needs and to lead to the grades they want. Coming up, remembering what you read. I certainly need to take that. 4 p.m. tomorrow, Tuesday, October 10th. It's a Teams meeting. And also How to Win at Math. That's 4 p.m. Wednesday, October the 11th, also tomorrow, or Wednesday, I should say. And it is a Teams meeting as well. Check our post after the show for all the details. And it's our annual campaign here at HCC where we can make a difference in our students' lives.
That's right. The I Love HCC campaign is launched by our foundation. It's inspiring HCC employees to make a personal donation in support of HCC students. Payroll deduction is the easiest way to set up your recurring gift, and some giveaway drawings will be held later in the semester. Check our post after the show for more information. But to my colleagues out there, I'll just say personally, back when Hurricane Harvey struck, I took the bait and I signed up for a small payroll deduction to give a little bit of money to support faculty and students back in 2017. And I don't even notice it anymore, 5, 6, 7 years later now, that small amount of money comes out of my check every 2 weeks and really does help students with the cost of classes.
Absolutely. So check our post. We'll give you all the links that you would need to find out how you can do so as well. Okay, registration is still open for smaller semesters. I would imagine, we're still ending the semester at the same time, Nick, but students still have time to take these shorter sessions with the same, but it's very fast paced from what you told me before.
I think, yeah, I would say that's right. The typical semester is 16 weeks long, but Monday, October 16th, we start an 8-week accelerated session. So, instead of going to class 3 days a week, you go to class, or 3 hours a week, you go 6 hours a week, right? It's half the number of weeks, but twice the number of hours per week. But
is it similar to like summer sessions?
That's right. Yeah, I think that's exactly right. We still have to have the same time and the same course objectives and typically the same assignments. You just do it in a shorter window of time. And
I remember when I used to take summer sessions at U of H, where I graduated from, it seemed like you were just starting classes, and the next thing you know, you have a test. And the next thing you know, you have another test. Every week we'd have a test, it seemed like, and it was hard to keep up with those.
Yeah, that's fair. The first 8-week sessions end on Friday, right? The first 8 weeks this is week 8.
Wow.
So there are a lot of students out there in that accelerated 8-week session that are wrapping up a semester right now. But we start another one on Monday. So enroll if you're interested.
If you need to get the hours, you can still do so. But we have 5 ways to learn: online anytime, online in the schedule. We have 2 hybrid versions, hybrid classes, and also hybrid labs. And then we have traditional in-person, face-to-face classes taken on a campus. Right. Those are available too. They're all available right now, but go to hccs.edu/apply. And as Nick mentioned, the next 8-week session is coming up. And I think that after that, is that it for the semester? Are there any other ways?
For the academic side of the house, yes, I think that is the 8 weeks that starts Monday. That's the last session. However, I do believe there may be some 4 or 5 week programs in the workforce side for certificates or other programs like that.
Do we still have those classes that you can take over the holidays where you can get like 3 hours in? We still do those,
We sure do. Yeah. I mean, we run what's called a winter mini session that starts after final exams in middle of December. They typically run for 2 or 3 weeks, and that is the first session of the spring semester. And so enrollment for those has opened. Priority registration enrollment opens today. Regular enrollment for the spring opens Monday. So if a student wants to take a class in December, probably they should sign up next Monday on the 16th.
Yeah, make sure you get it taken care of. hccs.edu/apply. Okay, tomorrow, or later in the week, I should say, Good Works Wednesday. That's coming up. We'll have visit with a former HCC colleague who now works with a Fort Bend food pantry and resale shop. And Nick, on Thursday, Family Fun Day, Sauvignon Blanca, who will host the John Waters Trash-a-thon at Numbers Nightclub. That sounds pretty cool. That's coming up on Thursday.
I look forward to it. We can learn about Serial Mom, Polyester, and Pink Flamingos, and the whole history of John Waters and drag.
There were some crazy movies. Remember those days. All right. Thanks for being here, Nick. Good to see you every Monday.
I'll see you next time.
All right. And we'll see you all tomorrow morning live, 10 a.m. for Up to the Minute.